So why don't I call this meeting to order? The October 27th, 2020 Selectmen's meeting for Jackson, New Hampshire. The first thing is we'll go to a public hearing on accepting Gopher and CARES Act funding. And this is for the Town of Jackson public hearing. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing via Zoom on Tuesday, October 27th, 2020 at 3:30 to accept the following. Unanticipated revenue of $19,937 from the Governor's Office for Emergency Relief and Recovery, Gopher, which is funding from the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES Act. Any comments? Anybody not want to accept that money?
I will make a motion to accept the $19,937 from the Governor's Office for the CARES Act.
And I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? There, we've got $19,937.
Do we need to vote in person and say our names each, or since we're all live, we can?
I think it's probably a good thing to do because of the people that are on the call.
So Dick, if you wouldn't mind moving forward, we'll do each
Roll call.
individual roll call vote.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Dick Bennett, you vote yes.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. I figured she'd be nudging me later to do that, so.
Okay, so I may have done this kind of backwards. I opened the meeting, so I'm going to continue with our meeting, even though we had that interlude for the public hearing. We need to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. There's one correction.
One correction. There is, Emily Benson's title is Emergency Management Director. It is stated on the minutes as Emergency Medical Director, so that just needs to be corrected to Emergency Management Director. My apologies, I think I misstated on that one.
Okay, with that correction,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 13, 2020.
And I will second that motion.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. The minutes are approved as corrected. And we have the minutes from our non-public. Let's see, I turned them in. Should we vote to seal them?
Yes.
Okay. I would take a motion to seal the minutes of our non-public session.
I will make a motion to seal the minutes of the October 13th non-public meeting.
And I will second.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay,
Initial those.
here, the sealed minutes. And
Barb, did Jacqueline from DOT make it on the meeting?
No.
Okay. She was asking me for.
Oh, sorry. She was asking for the code.
Yeah.
For this minute? This meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, she was asking if she called in. Oh, you have the code though, right, Julie?
For that, if when you didn't need one.
Oh, yeah, no one has called in that has asked to be admitted, if that's what you were asking.
Okay.
Should I correct these on here? John, Dick, do I correct this on here manually, the correction on the minutes?
Make it, yeah.
Just make
Yes.
it,
Just make sure.
And then I'd say just initial it.
yeah.
And then you would just make note of it in the new minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, the next item was the Benish driveway permit. It's been postponed till 11:10, our next meeting. Giving the lawyer time to make the presentation and also for, I think, hopefully, give us time to read whatever the lawyer submits so that we don't have to sit here and try to think about what they just said, but we have a little lead time.
Right.
So we're going to press for them to have that to us in a timely manner.
I believe we did receive one email today, so we'll take that and go see what else we need, but good move.
Is DOT on the line?
No, and they won't be till 4 o'clock, so we might as well continue with
We'll
the
just
agenda.
keep- yeah.
Yep. And then once they pop on here, I'll let you know.
So we'll go right into our discussions. The first thing I have is the update from the Chamber of Commerce.
Julie, was Kathleen gonna call in?
She was gonna call in. She has an email there, so you could probably just go over what events they have. They can also go to the website for the chamber to see. They had to do things differently this year. They couldn't do the normal Christmas farm and gathering.
Right.
They're gonna have Santa come outside, I believe, near the gazebo.
Santa's being really agreeable this year. He's gonna come out on the sleigh, I believe, and then wave to the kids and not have any contact, so he's been a real trooper.
Okay, shall I go ahead and read the Chamber's email?
Sure.
Into
Sure,
the,
yeah.
You feel like it?
if I can read that much. Santa comes to town on Sunday, November 29th, combining the tree lighting and Santa with the following COVID-19 restrictions. Santa will only be on the gazebo in the sleigh for kids to see. He will be wearing a mask, and he will have a microphone that he can so that he can remove the mask and make a little welcome and indicate that Santa wants to be sure the children understand that we all need to do what is necessary for this virus to stay away from them. So this year, he will not be able to sit with them at close range. The candy canes and goodies will be under a tent provided and decorated by Christmas Farm Inn and SAP. I'm not sure what SAP is.
Julie? What's SAP? Any idea?
We'll find out.
Okay.
And practice of social distancing along with masks are required of all who attend. People will walk up to the goodies and hot chocolate station with their individual group under 6 people or at a time, one group at a time. No mixture of parties will be allowed. We will have staffing watching and reminding all to keep their 6 feet apart from families and visitors not traveling with them directly. We'll have Christmas holiday type items in the ground for standing points, and there will not be any sort of handling of any items like hats or candy, etc. Santa will not walk around visiting with different groups. We need to keep him safe, safe and sound, as well as the kids. The following verbiage is taken from Safer at Home guidelines published by the governor's office. Oh, it's the Christmas Farm Inn and Spa.
That's right.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I missed that one. That was
that's what
Oh, you
STA
said
means.
SAP.
Yeah, that's it.
I was gonna say spa spelled backward.
Okay. So their full name is
Gotta
Christmas
get
Farm
out.
Inn and Spa. Okay. Spa will not be offering the usual open house, which would have restricted the number of attendees to 45. We may see possibly up to 60 people, so that's what we'll do, and require masks, social distancing, and hope that that will be a very good time. And certainly it's a great effort by the chamber to do things correctly.
Agreed.
The next item is the fire station feasibility study.
And I will take that one instead of Jerry. We did have a meeting this afternoon, or at noon. We are going to have another meeting on November 9th at 7 a.m. here for committee members and on Zoom for anyone else that would like to attend publicly. And then we will come to the meeting on November 10th. The committee will come to the meeting on the 10th with a recommendation. So we just need 2 more weeks of time.
All righty. And our next is the Fire Chief Jay Henry.
What do you mean? I'll do the easy one first, I guess. The $10,000 donation money we received, we've been working on this for just under a couple of years since we knew it was coming our way. So it's nothing we jumping right into. We'd like to use the money to look at a UTV for a multitude of uses. We looked at a lot of stuff over the past year or more on what we thought we'd do with it. A lot of talk was, due to the fact that somebody died and donated money to us. We always feel that's a very special use for something specific rather than just using it to pay bills or buy regular gear or buy regular stuff that we buy all the time. So we always try to, come up with a very special use. And that's what we've done. So a UTV, it's a small basic one. We've always over the years begged, borrowed, and stealed to get up Tyrol to the radio tower. So that's a big time advantage to have something to be able to get up there instead of begging, borrowing, or renting or whatever. Forestry. This year last month, I had 2 instances. One, we went up Tyrol, worked up there, we borrowed one. We also had a forestry call during the dry spell where it would have been big time useful. Up on Iron Mountain, we had a smoke investigation and there was actually 2 camps where nobody knew existed out behind some other camps. We actually grabbed Sweet Oak, we flew a helicopter trying to find it. Didn't find it. Forest Service got involved the next day. Turned into a big thing until we finally had some real good topography maps from the Forest Service that showed a lot of stuff, showed camps and showed everything, and we were able to put 2 and 2 together and say, well, let's go check out there. It's something, I mean, we basically found it there. So that would have been big time useful for that. Of course, we went up Tyrol and did work this year. So we feel it's a great use of the money to go for something specialized like that. Probably last us a lifetime. So we shouldn't use it, you know, it's not like something we're gonna use every day. Mutual aid's getting bigger and bigger every year, between them helping us and us helping them, whether it's North Conway or Bartlett or where it is. Seven Colony has one, North Colony has one.
What is the cost?
It's 12.4 for the basic one. So the association is gonna flip the rest of the money that the donation that we don't have. So the association's gonna use some of the donated money we have to finalize it. Multi-agency use, fire department, EMS, mutual aid, the PD, I know Chief Curley's behind it 100%. So that's what we're thinking, that's what we'd like to do.
What is it called again?
UTV, it's one of the, it's like a gator
Got it.
with a,
Like an all-terrain vehicle, but it's
yeah, it's an ATV basically, but it's a
Got it.
3-seater
Gotcha.
with a little dump body on the back.
Okay.
We put a plate on it. It actually, they go over the road really well. I mean, I wouldn't want to go down interstate with it, but
Right.
I mean, you could go from here to Tyrol the same way or even safer than you would in a car, as far as, you know, time-wise. So that's,
Okay, when you say you beg, borrow, and steal to get up to the communications tower, you can't get there in the truck?
you can get there in a pickup, but there's certain times of the year where mud season, it's harder. You can get up there in a pickup, but it's like, for instance, we went up to cut brush this year, and it was really handy to be able to, you know, have a four-wheeler or a side-by-side or UTV, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
where, you know, it's just so much easier. And then in the winter time, I usually, if we need to go up there in the winter, it's snowmobiles. So yeah, you can get up there with a pickup, but this is much more or less intrusive to the, you know, pickup is, you can get up there, but it you know, the mud there's one section that's a swale of mud that, you know, you're always rutting it up, and it's definitely better on the land to do it with an ATV.
So this is my ignorance here. Do you have to like license and insure those like you do for?
It would just be insured like all the other equipment we have, but
Because you
it's
can't,
not
like, I know
licensed
you
in.
can't ride ATVs in the town of Jackson, so this would be a special use vehicle.
Yeah,
for
you
the
could
fire
put,
department?
like I could buy, if you had a construction job going and I had a UTV, and I had a construction plate on it, I actually, if I'm using it for construction, I could ride up and down the road just like a car does.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, as long as it's specific to whatever use you're doing, or if you're
Not
farming.
recreation or whatever.
You know, farming or whatever, but you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you don't, there's no liability or insurance like that as far as like a vehicle.
Okay.
You'll get a government plate on it?
Yeah, I'd have to look at that, but yeah, you can get a government plate for, it's what they call it, construction plates or whatever, special plates. So it's nothing that we jumped right into. We've actually been, you know, we looked at forestry equipment. We looked at whether we buy more thermal imagers. We looked at forestry truck, which, you know, is the next subject I'm going to talk about. Looked at equipment for that. We looked at building fund. You know, we looked at the fire station study fund. We talked about all kinds of stuff, and everybody felt this was probably the best use or something.
Well, we have to think about it because you are asking for a lot of things right now. So I think it sounds like a reasonable request. But certainly the fire department has any number of things they can spend money on. So I think we should be careful, but what do you think? Want to take a vote on whether we give the go-ahead for that purchase?
It sounds like, it's something that your team has thought about very carefully. I'm wondering if you had like a few ideas that you kicked around that would be big purchases that this ended up to be it, or if this was kind of something like you said you've been considering for years and you finally have a means to do it. So just
Yeah,
curious.
there's no other big purchases. I mean, we got some regular equipment we buy all the time. We get some hose purchases coming up, fire hose purchases coming up, which is fairly expensive because it's large diameter. But I'm thinking when we buy the next fire truck, we just get the hose with that fire truck and we hold off on that. I've been putting it off a while.
And then like you
There's no
said, you
other
wanted to
major-
make this sort of a special
Well,
purchase.
Yeah,
because
that's, it's,
you could name it.
you know, like, just like the money that we raise through the association,
Mhm.
you know, we don't like to, people donate money and quite a bit of money.
Mhm.
Whether it's, Jaws of Life or thermal imagers or those type of things are definitely special purchases rather than just buying fire hose with donated money or buying batteries for your pagers with donated money.
Right.
If everybody feels donated money like that, it should be something very specialized.
Are there add-ons to it? Do you have to get a radio?
We're gonna try to keep that as simple, nothing major. We are gonna probably, we'll look at down the road, whether we buy a little mini pump set up for forestry, which is something that gets used a lot these days. That's something I'd look at donated through the association type of money. Nothing major. I mean, you could make it as expensive as you wanted to make it. I mean, you could spend 25, 30 grand on those things with 4 seaters, with, all kinds of fancy stuff. But we're trying to keep it as simple and basic and cover what we need for the use right now. So I don't see nothing major.
Where are you gonna park it?
In between the forestry truck and the pickup.
Any further discussion on this?
I don't have any other questions.
John?
Good.
All right.
I think it sounds like a good valid purchase. I don't know if you want to take more time to think about it or not, but it sounds like you've already given it thought on your committee.
All right. Vote. Make a motion to go ahead with the purchase of a UTV for the fire department.
At approximately $12,400.
I believe, it's 12.4 in that range, so.
Who would you buy it from?
We got a best price so far is from Colebrook Bombardier deal.
Yep.
They were the best price, and I've heard their service has been impeccable. We got a price from them, Profile, I believe, Town and Country, but they're telling me they're closing ASAP. It's probably not going to be a rush thing, because ATVs right now, or snowmobiles or anything, all equipment as far as that goes, is you gotta wait for them because the factories nobody has anything, they're not making them very quick, nobody has any help. My gear I ordered this year, a couple weeks ago, a month ago, whenever it was, my regular fire gear. Usually I wait a month, or usually I order in August and then I get it this time of year. It's 5 months out because they don't have any help. They can't get the materials because of COVID stuff. So one of those places, and so I'd say between 12 and 13 grand is, the association, we kind of added up to 5 grand. So we had a $15,000 number total between the 10,000 from the town and the 5,000 from the association to look at it. So.
Is this going to add anything else to your budget come next year?
Am I adding anything to the budget
For this?
piece of equipment? No, not that I know of yet, and I don't plan on anything big,
The only thing it'll hit is insurance.
which should be pretty minimal, I would think.
They don't break it down like item by item.
I'll make a motion to allow the fire department to purchase a UTV for up to $13,000 to be paid for with $10,000 that was donated, contributed to the town, and the additional fees coming from the association.
I'll second that.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes.
So Jay, are you going to ask for that money to come out of the trust fund prior to the end of the year?
Prior to what?
The end of the year.
It sounded like it could be 2 or 3 months before I would get it.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just need the.
I mean, I can do it whichever way you guys want.
Usually the trustees like to know if there are purchases that are going to reduce the cash in the account. So if we do it in January, that's fine.
It's up to you guys if you want me to wait a little bit and do it after the first of the year, or you want to get going now on it, whatever I can do either.
Do you want to coordinate that and just?
Let me know.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I just think that they need to know if you're going to make a withdrawal.
Okay, I'll work on that as soon as I can to figure out if we pick which one we're gonna get, I can either pay for it now or wait till it comes in and pay for it, however.
And my next question is going to be, can I see the quotes when you get them?
The what?
The quotes from the dealers?
I've got them.
Perfect. So I'll just grab a copy for you at the end.
And I do need to say that I don't know if this meeting is being live streamed or not, but I just found out that you had some technical difficulties. Phone numbers are correct. The link is incorrect.
I do have 3 people on the call now. Thank you, Jay.
Oh, good. Okay.
So-
Those might all be DOT people.
There, 2 out of 3 are, I know, but I would assume all 3
Alright,
are.
but if anyone needs the link, I can send it to them.
Okay.
I just need those back. Or...
Yep, I'll get copies to you. Okay, so do you have other things you want to talk about?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It is 3:58 and the DOT is on the phone and our 4 o'clock public hearing is supposed to be with them. Should we flip to that and then go back to you? Do you have a problem with that?
How long will we be, Jay?
It'll probably be more than 2 minutes.
Okay. I believe that.
You want me to?
We're going to have to let the DOT go.
Okay.
Do you mind hanging around then?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't mind at all.
All right, Jackie, I'm gonna unmute you here, and then, hi Jackie. I'm Barb Campbell on Zoom, and then we have Dick Bennett and John Allen with the Town of Selectmen and several other audience members. Do you need Joseph or Michael to be unmuted as well?
Could you go ahead and unmute them just in case they have anything?
Absolutely. Okay, so we have Jackie Hoza. Did I say your name correctly?
Haza.
Jackie Haza, Joseph Adams, and Michael Moser on the phone from Department of Transportation.
Alright, am Jackie Haza. I'm an engineer for the New Hampshire Department of Transportation, and I am here today to discuss the New Hampshire DOT's bridge preservation project named Bartlett-Jackson 41989. Before I get into a summary of the project and the work that we are looking to be doing in the town of Jackson, I just have a brief environmental statement which I need to read, which was provided by our Bureau of Environment. So I'll read through that quickly and then I'll move on to my presentation.
Okay.
So this is on behalf of the Bureau of Environment. As a part of the National Environmental Policy Act and other state and federal regulations, the NHDOT must investigate the potential impacts that our projects will have on the surrounding natural, cultural, and social environment. Identifying key resources early in the project development process enables the department to avoid or minimize impacts as design proceeds. Part of our review involves identifying historic and cultural resources. In accordance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act, the department reviewed the project area to determine if there are historic or cultural resources within the vicinity that will be impacted by the construction of this project. Historic and cultural properties can include buildings and structures 50 years or older, as well as archaeological sites. In addition to age, it also must be determined if a structure maintains enough integrity to be eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. The existing concrete rigid frame bridge was constructed in 1933 with significant widening in 1981. The bridge was determined not eligible for the National Register of Historic Places as the 1981 widening had significant impacts on the bridge's proportions and loss of original finishes, affecting its integrity of design and workmanship. A remnant, former foundation, bridge abutment, or other feature was located approximately 50 feet from the roadway in the northeast quadrant, although no impacts are anticipated. Further study has determined there is no potential to cause effect for archaeological resources as the proposed undertakings will be confined to already disturbed soils. However, we are asking that if anyone has concerns about historical or archaeological resources in or adjacent to the project area, they bring them to our attention tonight or contact us after this meeting. Regarding environmental resources, a wetland registration will likely be needed for the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services for temporary scaffolding. As the project proceeds, we will continue to coordinate with the appropriate agencies to avoid or minimize impacts to the Ellis River. Additionally, the project is located within the ranges of the northern long-eared bat and the Canada lynx, which are both federally protected as threatened species by the Endangered Species Act. It is not anticipated that this work will jeopardize these species. The work is not anticipated to adversely affect water or air quality, contribute to noise pollution, encounter contaminated materials, or impact conservation plans. Okay, thank you. So that was a statement from our Bureau of Environment. I'm going to be posting that onto our project website, so if anybody would like to review or reach out to our environmental coordinator, Erin Mills, that information will be available on our New Hampshire DOT project-specific website for this project, as well as a handout which gives a little bit more information on that section 106, which was mentioned. So those will be on the project website. Okay, so moving on from that, I'll just pull up my presentation. I'll switch over to.
But I turned it up. There, she's sharing her screen.
Is everybody able to see that?
We're on a Zoom and a live meeting, so you're presenting, and I've turned my computer around, so
Oh, great.
it's kind of, some can see, some can't, but
Okay.
go ahead.
All right. Okay. Sorry, it's just blocking me out of my view here. I'm just having an issue with my separate screens. Okay. So I am here to talk about the Project Bartlett Jackson 41989.
All right, Jackie?
Yes.
Before you had it on the monitor and now it's like a very small piece and I see both of your monitors. So however you had it before, it was the full screen.
There we go.
That's the full screen now for us.
Oh, and did that just send it back to?
Nope, that's good.
I've never had it.
Now it's small, but I think you can probably just go with it because not all of us are going to be able to see it regardless.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull this down. Okay, so this project is going to address two bridges. One of the bridges will be Bartlett 153-108, which is located down in Bartlett. It's carrying US 302 over the Stony Brook River. The bridge we're here to talk about today is bridge number 92-130. This bridge, as you can see, is located on New Hampshire Route 16. It's about 5 miles north of the town center down in Jackson. And here is just a closer view of the site which we're looking at. Just a little bit of background on the bridge. This bridge was built in 1933, as we mentioned in the environmental memo. It was rebuilt in 1981 to the existing typical that it is today. The bridge is about 56 feet long and it has a curved curb width of 50 feet. The bridge carries approximately 3,600 vehicles per day across it. So a little bit about the bridge condition. The bridge is the deck and superstructure are currently rated as fair and the substructure is rated as good. As you can see, I know that you guys have kind of a small screen here, but I have a few photos of the condition. You can see that there is some spalling and effervescence here. And basically that just means that water has been able to get into the deck and it has accelerated the deterioration of the concrete rigid frame that we have here. So there's some cracking and some spalling, so some pieces are falling out. So work that we are going to do in order to address that deterioration, we're going to do full and partial depth concrete repairs, and we're going to add a new deck membrane and new pavement. So basically we're going to go in, rip out the pavement from the top of the bridge, rip out the existing deck membrane, address all of those soft spots which I showed you in the previous slide, where the water is leaking through. We'll add new concrete in there and then we'll put in a new deck membrane to protect that bridge so we can extend the lifespan of it. In addition, at this bridge we have some stone facing, so we're going to go in and we'll clean and we'll regrab the stone facing so there's not the leaking that you can see in the picture on the right. So there's some leaking behind. We'll go through and we will address that, along with any additional patching which may need to be done to the substructure. But the bulk of the work is going to be focused on the concrete deck. So from there, how we're going to achieve, we're going to get this work done.
All right, Jackie, hold on. Dick had a question.
Oh, sure.
There was some discussion about aesthetics on the bridge abutments of stone veneer, I think something along those lines. Anyway, has anything been finalized on those thoughts?
So when we had first begun looking at this bridge, we were looking at the stone facing and trying to decide if the water which was coming through there would be damaging enough to warrant taking off that stone facing and replacing it with just a concrete facing, and we decided that we should be all set with just cleaning off that stone facing and re-grouting it. So the facade will not change, it will be the same stone, we'll just be cleaning and re-grouting it.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so traffic control. When we have projects like this, we always look at two alternatives for our traffic control. The first alternative is looking to totally shut down the bridge and do all the work in one phase using a detour, and then the second is to maintain traffic across the bridge through phased construction. This next slide shows what the detour would be if we shut down the bridge completely and then detour traffic on state roads. I know it's small for you guys, but it comes out to be over 75-mile detour on state roads, so that would not be the preferred alternative here. So what we're proposing is phased traffic. So we would do the work for this bridge in two phases. The first phase, we show the travelway in green and the work zone in red. So for the first phase, we would maintain two-way traffic by using two 12-foot lanes or one 12-foot lane in each direction to maintain that two-way traffic. And then for the second phase, we would be using alternating one-way traffic, and that would be signal controlled. So we would have stoplights out beyond the bridges. So here's just a aerial overview of what that would look like. The top is phase one. As you can see, we're maintaining that two-way traffic. And then down on the bottom, we have the second phase, where we would have our signals at the approaches to the bridges in order to control the flow of traffic. We're anticipating these phases would be in effect for about 4 weeks per phase, for a total of 2 months of construction in this area. A few additional details on the project area. And the project, all the work will be completed inside of the department's existing right-of-way. There's no utility relocation anticipated. And based on the scope of work, we are planning on applying for a routine roadway permit, which goes along with that environmental piece. And this permit will allow us to have scaffolding in the river in order to access the bottom of this bridge. The work is scheduled to be completed in the 2021 construction season. We have an anticipated start date in April, and then all work should be completed by October. We also have the other Bartlett Bridge with this project, so they will be likely going on concurrently. And then finally, the total project cost is $425,000 for both bridges, $325,000 of that going towards the Jackson Bridge.
Okay, hold on, I have a question. Jay Henry has a question. He's our fire chief.
Yes.
How's it going? What's the plan to maintain sidewalk use during the whole job? The last bridge that's finishing as we speak, like right now, the other stone bridge on Route 16,
Sure.
They pretty much shut the sidewalk down and there was no plans made to maintain pedestrian traffic. And what happened was, in the one-lane traffic while they were working, people were trying to walk in the road while dump trucks and cars and all that good stuff were trying to squeeze through the 10-foot opening. There was many cases where it did not go well.
Yeah.
So are you gonna be
this
able, I guess?
is farther up 16. It's about 5 miles away from where the work was on that previous bridge, which wrapped up a couple weeks ago, I guess. There's no sidewalk on this.
Dana Place Bridge.
Oh, that's a Dana.
Yeah.
Dana
Oh, I
Place.
thought they were talking about the one over here.
Yeah, so
The stone veneer on the one up to Dana Place?
Yeah, they want to put a stone veneer on that initially.
Oh, so this is the one up to Dana Place?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought this was in the
no,
village.
that's all right.
Okay, cancel that.
So yeah, there's no sidewalk through here.
Okay.
It didn't, when we went on our visit, it didn't seem like a section of the road that there would be too many pedestrians, but if you guys have other information on pedestrian use in this area,
No.
that would be great too. So I will get back
Is
to
there any
the projects.
interference with the hiking trails? I know the Hall Trail starts near there. Not the
So-
Hall, is it Hall Trail?
Don't know.
I know,
Let me jump back to this aerial. So in the southeast quadrant, am I getting that correct? Over, can you guys see my pointer? Is it pointer? Can you see this now?
Yeah.
So I believe the trail is right in this section. Do people park along here to access that? Or is it maybe along Glen Road?
usually they park up at Rocky Branch parking lot and walk. But again, that's not everybody.
Just taking note of that. So one of the things that we are planning on including in our contract for this project is a note to the contractor of where the entrance to this trail is, so that their staging equipment is in an opposite section, so it wouldn't interrupt access to the trail. So is the parking lot that you're talking about, is that up north of the bridge and people are walking down across to access the trail, or
Yeah.
it is up north?
Yeah.
They walk across the bridge and then cross the road, I believe. If I remember correctly. I haven't hiked that in years.
Okay, we can definitely look into that parking situation more and come up with.
In theory, they probably could establish a small place on that side, same side of the road, so they wouldn't have to do that if that's an issue. Maybe something probably be carved out temporarily. Doesn't get a huge amount of traffic.
Okay. Yeah, we will look into that and I'll get back to you. Okay, so then back to this last slide, just your input is needed. So any feedback you have on emergency response routes, mutual aid from or to adjacent towns, school bus routes, bicycle and pedestrian use like we were talking about, and any other concerns that you have in this area.
There are a fair amount of ambulance calls up on the curb, up on the town line there, but
Okay. Okay, so when we have the signal in place, we can provide signal preemption devices for emergency vehicles. I'll be reaching out to police and fire about that so that we know how many to provide for you guys.
Yeah, we looked at that with the bridge over there.
Yeah.
We opted out of it and it worked fine. We didn't have any issues.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that for a second.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, awesome. All right, so that's all I have for my presentation. Were there any other questions or concerns that you guys had?
No, I just hope the stone veneer does not come up. I don't think there's any need for it, so I hope that's a conversation that gets dropped.
Yep. Yeah, we're not gonna be moving forward with replacing that
Yep.
stone facing. So,
and the state's flipping the bill for this?
yes.
That's an important question.
That's an important
That's
question.
right.
Thank you.
And,
All right.
Mike or Joe, did you guys have anything to add?
No, this is Joe Adams. No, I didn't have anything to add. Usually when we do these in person, that's one note I do make, is that this is all federal and state funded, so there are no town dollars associated with this.
Good.
All right.
Okay. So I have Joe is our project manager for this project. I have his information at the bottom of this slide. I also provided it to Julie to add into your meeting minutes in case anybody wasn't able to sign on today and they read the minutes and had further questions. So if anything else comes up, that information will be provided. So feel free to reach out and we can answer any further questions.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie and Mike and Joe. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All righty.
All right, we'll go back to our meeting. Jay, I think you were speaking.
Yep. Forestry truck. There's no money. Not asking for any money. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Keep going.
The next two items, we're not asking for any money yet. We'd like to entertain the idea of upgrading our forestry truck down the road with one of Pat's 1-tons, Dodges, small trucks, whatever you want to call them. When he gets ready to turn that in and update that, our forestry truck we have now, and it should be a really low, wouldn't be much of a money thing, other than whatever the trade-in value is on it, you would lose that. Our existing forestry truck is a 80-something old Army truck. It's been great for what we've done with it. I think we paid $1 for it from Hanscom Air Force Base. Bruce Hill actually managed to figure that whole thing out way back when. And the idea is to upgrade to something more user-friendly, something everybody can drive. For those of you that know anything about Army trucks, they're not all that much fun to drive with manual steering and tires they have. More user-friendly, something we could use more year-round. It would be similar setup. It'd just be, a 1-ton truck with a flatbed on it and some toolboxes and forestry stuff, and we've got some hazmat stuff, a bunch of speedy dry on it. We, storms that we've been getting, like windstorms, the last windstorm that happened right here, that would have been a really good example where we could have used the truck more to ride around and check stuff and check on people. It's more, more user-friendly, automatic, easy to get in and out of. So that's kind of what we'd like to do down the road. Like I said, it's not a big money item. Wouldn't take a lot of money to make it work. Pretty inexpensive. I mean, asking to do something like that, it's about as frugal as you can be, rather than spending $200,000 or $300,000 on an official, real forestry fire truck. I mean, it's not like we go to 200 forest calls a year, so we really, I feel we don't necessarily have to have a brand new truck for that use. The idea of making it multi-use is huge. That way we could use it in the summer and the winter. The other item is, and Kevin can attest to this, more and more people are building in miserable locations, class 6 roads up in the middle of nowhere. Just in the last couple of years, the amount of class 6 stuff that we've worked on has increased big time. So it'd be something that could get in, really bad weather. It's small. You could get in somewhere and at least have some tools and some water and some equipment to try to do something.
What would be the value of Pat's truck that we would?
I mean, we haven't gone that far. The last truck that, when I traded the GMC for this specific truck that we're talking about. The GMC went to L.A. Drew for 15, 20 grand maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The old truck, the Army truck we had is starting to show some issues. It's got, the antifreeze issue. So that's kind of what, like I said, I'm not asking for anything right now. I don't know if it's another, that one's a 2013, I believe, that 1 ton. I'm not sure when that's on Pat's plan for trade-in, next couple of years or when it is.
If you could get that information, that would probably be helpful to know.
Yeah, I
as
just
well.
kind of wanted to
Just-
bring it up to prepare.
Yeah,
Kind of curious what your thoughts would be on something like that to try to make our forestry, well, we call it HD1, which is heavy disaster. We use it for going flood stuff, forestry stuff, anything like that. So kind of more of an informational thing and kind of curious if you guys would support something like that.
Well, the old forestry truck's probably an antique, might get some big bucks on that.
that's right. To the Forestry Museum.
Yeah.
We've actually used it, the truck it's a really good truck. It's been great for going up ski areas and floods and all that. We've used it more out of town than we used it in town because it's so good for, we've been on a forest fire on top of Attitash with it. We did 2 major floods with it in Bartlett. Hurricane Irene is a big video of it, rescuing people down on the campground. We were out how many times it's been on the railroad tracks in Crawford Notch. So it definitely has some use, but we just get something more user-friendly. Drivers are getting harder and harder to come by, and as time goes on, having good old-fashioned truck drivers are few and far between these days. So that's, kind of curious if you support it coming up.
Definitely need to know all the facts, but,
Yeah.
it sounds like a good consideration.
Doable.
Yep,
You already got the truck, you already
Yeah.
paid for it.
yep.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
And the third item,
Oh,
it's a big one.
The Class A pumper.
Yeah,
we didn't have C123, we should have had it differently.
so coming up for our capital plan is a replacement of a fire truck in 2022. The officers, and we've talked about it for 2 years, thinking about what we're gonna do down the road. We've recently talked a lot about, do we replace it? Do we try to keep the one we got longer? What do we do? We've talked about that a lot, and we'd like to keep planning for a 2022 purchase of this Class A pumper tanker. It's pretty expensive, $616,000
Right now.
is today's price for basically the same thing that we've got. A little bit different, but not drastically different, I guess. We looked at putting that off, trying to put it off as long as we can. One of the problems with that is the longer we put it off, the more it puts 2 fire trucks getting replaced in close proximity to each other, and they're not cheap. One of the biggest problems right now is the cost of emissions, and the cost of iron and steel has taken, one of the reasons I brought this up is the cost every year of the trucks increasing has dramatically gone up in the last couple of years, and it's played a little bit of havoc with our capital plan. You're talking 50 grand a year at 600,000. They're going up 7. They used to go up 3% a year. Now with the emissions stuff that's going on, they're going up 7 to 10% every single year with all the emissions for trucks. The price of steel, the price of aluminum, the price of all that is the 2 big ones. So we're talking at 616,000 In 2000, that's today's price. You're talking 50 grand a year increase. We've got most of the money saved up because of the way the town puts $80,000 a year away. A couple of years ago, maybe more than a couple, we used to put 100,000 away for fire trucks, and we'd like to, because of that drastic cost that I found out about in the last year, going up more than 3% a year, we'd like to go, when the budget season comes, I'm gonna ask to increase that fund from 80 back to 100 where it was, which means that we talked about that already. And now, we'll have most of the money when we get close, but it's a big expense, huge expense. Pump is getting temperamental on it. Any of the fire pumps they're just temperamental. It doesn't take much sand to wipe them out and have a big expense. A few other issues. We've done, I was working on it today, we have spent countless hours at officers' meetings, and I've got a credible amount of time trying to figure out any option that we can do to either do a different type of truck, a different size truck, to try to bring the cost down from that 616 of today's cost. We keep trying. I was working on it today, and it's tough with the topography we have in Jackson. You just can't buy an off-the-shelf truck for $450,000 like you might be able to do if you were in flatlands in Nebraska somewhere. Length causes issues, everything, horsepower. It's just very tough where we live. It's a true custom-built truck. It's not off the shelf. If you Google fire trucks, you'd be like, why are we paying $616,000 when there's one here for, $500 or whatever. So we continue. I spent an hour before I came here. We're looking at an option of going from a 10-wheeler to a single axle truck. Trying to get it as short as we possibly can. And that one come down around 590, 589 or something like that. So it wasn't a huge savings to make a bunch of cuts.
Wouldn't it make sense to, maybe include this in the feasibility study? Because obviously if we're gonna be building it, if this truck is, you're looking at, wasn't there a length issue at one point?
Yeah, it's a little bit longer.
Wouldn't it make sense to do those at the same time so you have the building fit the truck instead of trying to modify the
Well,
truck?
any new building will fit the truck.
Well, I mean, this one won't.
Right.
Yeah, so we're gonna modify this one and then,
No.
Yeah, pretty minimal. If we had to do that, it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty minimal, 10 or 15 grand. We could probably make the truck fit in there if we had to. Or we wait, if we end up waiting, we end up waiting. But it's still a separate issue. I mean, it's definitely that's in the thoughts of the feasibility study and all that, but it's definitely two separate issues.
But are you presenting this today just to get us excited for budgeting time and just kind of set
Didn't want anybody to be surprised when we come in. I wanted you to be aware that when we come in 2022, it's, I want to have all the minutes. And I don't want anybody to be surprised when we say, hey, we're going to spend 700 grand this year. Letting you know ahead of time. That's why I wanted to bring it up now.
Gotcha.
Because it is a big item.
Yes.
Well, it'd certainly be applicable to raise what we put into the capital reserve now to kind of prepare for that.
Yeah,
because
that's part of the meeting.
as I listen, I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna have these costs for the fire department, we're gonna have highway department vehicle costs, and we've got the police department, they want to hold on to the Tahoe.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if that's gonna go or not, we'll talk about that some other time, but it is a good indicator for us to start thinking ahead on all of these, but putting the money ahead too, so it's a good time to, when we get to the budgets, and budget season is coming right up,
Yes, it
like
is.
tomorrow.
We've got 300,000 or 400,000 in the bag for this particular truck. So it's not gonna be a big hit money-wise, it's just gonna be
It's just gonna be a
still
lot of
seems like a
money.
big hit.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So anyway, all I'm saying is, it is great to hear from you, the needs, and then for us to say, okay, what are we gonna put in the budget?
Mhm.
And prepare for this. Thank you.
Yep. That's it, I just wanted to prepare you with what we're gonna be asking for in 2 years. The only other item I got is really quick, it's place of assembly permits have been going on, a little unusual, but they've gone on all summer, fine, dandy. Most of the businesses are good shape, fine, no issues. They were all, they were self-inspections, check sheet from the fire marshal's office where the business would check off everything I look at, so I didn't have to go in the businesses. I haven't, trying to figure out when I'm gonna go back to actually inspecting them. Most of the stuff we find at any of these places is normal, everyday stuff, so it's no big deals. So those